So about a year ago, a good friend of mine who's a commercial spearfisherman, Dan McMahon, got together with me, and ever so often we'll talk and he'll show me footage of his past dives and to see if there's anything that I might think is potentially historically significant or something worthy of further exploration. And one in particular, he showed me this footage, and within 5-10 seconds of seeing the footage, I was just intrigued. It was obvious this was a very old shipwreck. It looked obviously to be a paddle wheel steamer. So the very first dive on a wreck, I want to try to gather every bit of information I can on the site. So I immediately going down the line, I had the camera getting ready to document the dive, and coming down the line you can see the paddle wheel hubs and the shaft immediately. That's a very prominent feature on the wreck site. So at that point I started documenting that. And then moving forward, came across a very archaic, very old steam engine. Unlike the typical triple expansion steam engines that I'm used to on 20th century vessels, this is a very odd piece of machinery. And then forward of that, swimming a little bit more, you come across two sets of double railroad style boilers. They're very long and smaller diameter boilers. And that really defines the site, is that machinery from the paddle wheel, that assembly forward to the boilers. And then after that, all you have is bits of debris. You have a lot of brick around the site, 2 anchors basically define the bow, because you have no wreckage of the hull to see at all. There's no trace of the hull or any of the other pieces of the superstructure. It's just the machinery and then debris. So this wreck, it's very hard to work, very hard to explore, because we're talking about a site that's over 100 miles offshore, basically approximately 300 feet of water. So it's not an easy site to get to in an area where weather potentially can be an issue, currents can be an issue, marine wildlife can be an issue. The reason we want to try to minimize our exposure on decompression is because if a shark, or sometimes many sharks, show up, you can't just call a timeout if you have to do another 60 minutes of decompression. You basically have to ride that out, because the last thing you want to do is get bent when you're 100 miles offshore and probably 4 or 5 hours from assistance, to whether it be from the Coast Guard or to a hospital with a chamber. This type of vessel, it's a sidewheel paddle wheel steamer, and this is not what you expect for a blue water vessel, a larger iron-hulled steamer, stern wheel or sidewheel steamer. So this looks to me like potentially a coastal, more of a packet steamer. It's kind of odd being this far offshore. We did some preliminary investigation based on the machinery, basically getting an age, as well as a few of the artifacts that we found at the site on the first dive. And everything kind of points to 1860s era, which at that time, obviously we had the American Civil War underway. And as a part of one of the little side stories of that is the Confederacy, which did not have a very large, prominent blue water navy. They enlisted a lot of coastal and river steamers, and a lot of the local merchants would employ these to do blockade commerce runs through the Bahamas or Cuba to bring in war material and other needed supplies due to the blockade at the time. So as we're working to explore the site and excavate a small area for artifacts, one thing we have to be very cognizant of is there's an abundance of lionfish on this wreck, which you'll see as we swim around the site, and they're not shy at all, and they'll get right under you. So it's one of the hazards, aside from the depth and the remote distance. The marine wildlife here, whether it be the lionfish on the wreck or potentially sharks on decompression, we have to be aware of that. Given the age of this wreck, I went and looked through my files trying to find potential suspect vessels that might fit the description of what we see on the bottom. And there's one story in particular that jumped out at me, and this is the story of a wreck called the Black Joker. And this was a blockade runner running from Havana to New Orleans. And it kind of fits the route. It fits the timeline. This was lost in April 1862. And we know the survivors, it was lost in a storm. They ran out of Havana, and a few days later they encountered a storm in the Gulf of Mexico. And all the passengers and the crew got off to lifeboats, and the vessel basically went under during the storm. And 5 days later, the survivors were found off of the Panhandle of Florida, so basically directly north of where this wreck site is. So we're trying to basically test our theory if this is the Black Joker. which this was built in 1837, originally as the C. Vanderbilt by one of the richest Americans in U.S. history, Cornelius Vanderbilt. And it was used in the basically ferry trade up in the northern states, up in New York and up to Maine. And then a few years later, it was sold and went down to the Carolinas. It basically steamed between Wilmington and Charleston, South Carolina, running the mail and other freight and passengers. And it came around into the Gulf just before the American Civil War. So we're trying to figure out, it's because of the time frame, we're not seeing a lot of artifacts that would help basically name the vessel, like you look for a bell or something like that, or capstan cover. So what we're going to, and also because if this is a blockade runner, you're going to not want to readily identify yourself. They changed their name several times. First it was a C. Vanderbilt on one of its first runs. Then they changed flags of nationality to a British flag, and they changed it to the Black Hawk, and then ultimately to the Black Joker. Obviously this is a big cat and mouse game with the U.S. Navy, saying they're a foreign flagged vessel going from one foreign port to another foreign port, in this case, let's say from Havana to Mexico. And if that's the scenario, the U.S. Navy can't board or seize them, even though they know more than likely they're going to an American port. So what we have on the site is in the cargo areas, lots and lots of bottles. We're seeing wine bottles, we're seeing bottles with butter, preserves, which we think is basically the top layer of the cargo, the more fragile cargo. And we're trying to clear a small area of these bottles to get down below, because if we think this is a blockade runner, we would expect to find heavier war material below that, whether it be gunpowder, rifles, bayonets, things of that nature. So that's what we're kind of working towards, is trying to do basically just excavate a small test trench to see if we can maybe support our claim this is a blockade runner. I guess the reason you want to identify a wreck is just to close that chapter, close the story on that vessel. I mean, right now we know it was lost. We know that there were survivors, but we don't really know anything really about the ship itself. We don't know what it was carrying. There's that whole chapter about blockade running and American history that I find just very interesting. We know quite a bit about it from the East Coast, from the Carolinas, but the Gulf aspect, the runs from Havana to the Gulf ports, it's relatively not well known and not well documented. So I think we can learn a lot from this wreck site and what it was carrying, the cargo. Learn a little bit about what people in the southern ports, namely New Orleans, what they would be hoping for. Things that, commodities, whether it be coffee or other products, luxury items. We just don't know what we're going to find. Hopefully, though, with perseverance, we'll succeed in identifying this wreck.